Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day, and hope you guys are having some lovely days out there. So it's going to be very important to stay in that love vibration going forward. All right, so Eyes Wide Shut. If you haven't seen the movie, let's bring up some pictures, refresh your memory. All right, so we're pretty much in an Eyes Wide Shut situation. The elite are, they're all into the crazy sexual escapades that they do. So a lot of people are like, just shocked by Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, it's just revealing the sexual, craziness that these guys do. It is not unusual. They all do this, and they're all into this. So for them to bring this up it's a nothing burger, right? To bring up, it's like it's the first line of defense for them. If someone gets out of line, they disclose that they have these sexual proclivities that are very unusual to the public. And for them, it's not unusual. They're all into it. So that's how they keep each other in line, because they know that if someone gets out of line, that'll get disclosed and their reputations and so forth will be ruined. That's what we're seeing right now with a lot of people. People are stepping down from positions of leadership, from like in Harvard. We had, somebody stepped down just recently from Harvard that was like a former Secretary of the Treasury. Around the world, people that are being revealed for having been on the Epstein list now are stepping down. Unless you're in a political class in America, then you don't step down. All right. So eventually something is going to take them down. All right. I see the political class completely done away with in the United States, because as they're proving with the SAVE Act, they're completely useless to us. So most of America wants, voting with IDs, American citizens to vote, but the Democrat Party is resisting. You got some people in the Republican side that are resisting. So they're completely useless to us. All right, they're not doing what we put them there to do. All right, they're resisting being our representatives. Right. So if you have, 78, 80 plus % of your constituents want something, and then you vote against that, you got to go away. It's very friggin' simple, right? So this is what we're going to see going forward for these people. All right, so the Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick came out with that. Of course, he died from a heart attack, right? Not long after or just before this movie was released. I think a couple of weeks before the movie actually was released, he died of a heart attack. So was he murdered because of Eyes Wide Shut? Now, we know they keep people quiet through, like we just saw there with Eyes Wide Shut. They will disclose, like they're doing now with the Jeffrey Epstein. So a lot of people are just being, forced out there, sacrifice yourself. It's like, that's the way the Luciferians are, The fact that Kubrick died before the films had been shown to the public raised some eyebrows among the more skeptical and conspiratorially aligned, even though by 1999, Kubrick was 70 years old. The fact that Eyes Wide Shut had seemingly exposed the illicit sexual occurrences of secret upper class organizations seemed to suggest that perhaps Kubrick's death had far more to it than a mere heart attack. Of course, you know how I've talked about how I was subjected to the heart attack machine. It didn't work on me. They've tried other ways to take me down. We're going to have some people on. They're going to talk about that. I'm not going to say names because they'll focus on those people, and they'll focus on my show before it comes out. So I try to keep these things secret. But they actually invented a specific bioweapon for us truthers. And they used it against a lot of truthers and took out a lot of truthers. And a lot of truthers got really sick, myself included, and almost died, right? So it is an ongoing war that many of us are, faced with. Pretty much all of you, everybody on planet Earth is being brutalized by this elite class. But people are, consciously programmed not to resist. That goes all the way back to, the times when we were educated. You're not taught, intuition or, thinking for yourself, critical thinking, or asking questions that are outside the box. For me, fortunately, I got to, run with a crowd that basically that's the way we ran. We thought outside the box because in the box, things didn't get done. So we're constantly tasked with the impossible. So we had to learn to think, very creatively and as a SEAL, and then eventually in the CIA. Now, in both of those organizations, there are groups that basically try and control, keep people in a box as well. So it is not, completely pervasive that all SEALs and all CIA security guys like myself, have carte blanche. No, we're still controlled to a certain extent. You have to learn how to work around that kind of stuff. So most of humanity is in a box. We look at civilization. We'll talk about that a little bit. Civilization basically keeps us within a box of our own destruction. All right. So we are in, moving towards destruction by creating these civilizations. We've seen this happen, throughout time. So I know a lot of you are like, well, the educational system, the political system, all these things are working to keep our lives safe and secure and so forth. No, we're seeing that basically these systems are designed to basically ultimately destroy us. All right. So it is moving in that direction very rapidly. So that's why I'm saying that, this political class in the United States will collapse. No, I was at a LifeWave event. I earned a cruise, and it's the fifth event that I've won and earned. I would say earned, not won, but earned in LifeWave by helping a lot of people. I earned very nice trips. So I was talking to some people from Australia, and they were telling me that Australia is starting to lock down again, like they did before COVID. So they're seeing the same signs in Australia that they did during the COVID timeframe. Now, is it another bioweapon coming? No, I think it's just the elite control system is squeezing harder and harder. Now, in the United States is probably the only place right now. We talked about this for years, that United States would basically rise up. We would conquer our negative elite, and then we would help the rest of the world. All right. Now we see just right across our borders on both sides in Mexico and in Canada, we seen extreme problems in both of those countries right across our border. But we have to fix our own house first. So getting the elections right is going to be fixing our own house. Now, President Trump came in, I think it was yesterday, that if the CARE Act is not passed, or the SAVE Act, it is a carrying act, but it's a SAVE Act, save our country. And really that's what it is. It's a last ditch effort to save our country. He said that if, because it's passed the Congress, fortunately, the House barely had one Democrat from Texas voted for the SAVE Act. So it's moved to the Senate now. Now, to make it to get it to pass, they have to have 60, which is they don't have enough Republicans, and the Democrats are completely compromised, completely un-American, and completely need to go away. I've been saying this for years. So we're going to see that, I think, once this next election happens. Everybody's going to see when we have a fair election, finally, for the first time probably in decades, just how much the Democrats have been stealing these election seats and so forth. So we have to have that. We have to have fair elections. So President Trump has said that when they do a filibuster in the Senate, because they have to have at least 51 or 50 some odd, senators to go along with it. So I guess they just got, their last one that they needed. So it looks like we're going to move to a filibuster. Filibuster, basically, they just keep talking until the other side has to come up with why they don't want something why they wouldn't want the SAVE Act to go through, so everybody gets to see. All right. So for some reason, they believe that if they do this filibuster, it's going to pass. I don't know. We'll see. But if it doesn't, then President Trump has said that he will do an executive order. Now, we've had Juan O'Savin talk about this, I don't know, a couple months ago or something. He's already, filling us in, what's coming down the road. So will President Trump do that? Now, if he has to do that, then I think it's a done deal. The Senate and Congress go the friggin' heck away, all right? And we need to push until that happens. They're completely, absolutely useless to us because they can't get what we want passed. You have 80% or more of Americans want, people to have an ID when they vote and be American citizens. And you have, like I said, the Democrat Party is not doing it. It's got to change, right? There's no question about it. There's no debate. It's going to change, right? So we, the people, have to do that, and we have to not be influenced by the eyes wide shut crowd, right? Now, a lot of people have been, discombobulated by Jeffrey Epstein, right? They're focused on, oh my God, all these people were involved and going to the island or to his ranch in New Mexico or to his, his nice little condo or whatever he had in New York, whatever, multi-million that was given to him by who's that guy that runs the lingerie line, Victoria's Secret. So that guy basically gave it to him, and he is being exposed, but nothing's happening to him. All right. So maybe somebody will remember that guy I'm talking about. Is it Les Wexner or something like that? Lex Wexner or something like that. Thanks, Christine. So it is, he's guilty of sin, but nothing happens to him. He is Wexney, Lex Wexney, right? So Wexner, Lex Wexner, right? So you ladies know, who I'm talking about because they're making you look bad, all right? So yeah, they got the great lingerie, but they were, had like males that were dressing as women that were doing that for a while there. So it is, disgrace to the feminine side. What Les Wexner did. All right. So the tongue twister boy. Right. So he was buds with Epstein, and he gave him the state in New York for $1 or something crazy. So multi-million-dollar, probably like worth a friggin' $100 million now. But I look forward to probably towards the end of this year when housing prices start to collapse massively. All right, so we're going to continue to see that happen. The exposure of all these people that were involved in this, human trafficking. So again, I say that the human trafficking side of it is like we're storming the wall, that we're storming the castle walls. We've breached the castle walls. We've pounded through the gate. Our catapults have, thrown the boulders and broken the walls, and we're through the first wall, and we're coming to the second wall. The second wall and the second gate is basically the intelligence services. All right. So you first have the trafficking and, underage women, teenagers that were involved in that. Now you breach the second wall, and then you're going to have, the the compound where everybody's held up at. So we're like, shooting arrows and throwing spears and, catapults and all that kind of stuff. And in the main place where they're hiding, they have underground tunnels, and they have these machines that are, like zip through tunnels, at hypersonic speed. And we're still with bows and arrows and and catapults. Their technology is way advanced, right? But I believe that the white hats have caught us up quite significantly. And so we're able to basically take them down and expose them on a level that we have not been able to for hundreds of years. All right. And it's been a slow process, continual slow process, moving forward, exposing. People died from it, from exposing them. But someone picks up the flag and keeps it moving. Everybody charges forward. So we've been doing this for hundreds of years. But they're constantly dumbing people down. They got people attacking ICE and so forth. It's crazy. But there's so much more that is going on. A much, much bigger picture. And that is transhumanism. All right. So transhumanism is where they're pushing us so that they can completely and ultimately just destroy the human being and cause us to be just, machines, right? Transhuman, right? And that's where they're pushing us. So, injecting us with stuff from the COVID vaccination that basically makes us, susceptible to the AI that's coming from the 5G and eventually 6G, and controlling us completely, our bodies, moving into, some kind of robotic type situation. So transhuman. So not really a human being anymore. The soul leaves and it's inhabited by something darker, some demonic force or whatever. And then, they completely control humanity. There's no more reincarnation. There's no more souls that are coming in here. There's no more, extremely advanced beings that are coming here to help us advance. That's their dream. Their dream will not succeed, but they're definitely moving us in that direction. So that is the bigger picture of what they're doing now. Most people are stuck and won't be able to get past, the fact that they're turning us into another species, right? That's their goal. So let's listen to this.
They're transitioning from one thing to another. We're transhumanizing.
They're transitioning the human race to another species. Okay, and it won't be long. It'll be in the 2020s. Doc, if you survive to 2030 without any of these genetic therapies injected into you, these biological operating systems, if you can survive to the 2030s and not become a human antenna, it's not just going to be one thing. It's going to be multiple things that they're going to try to get into our bodies.
Right.
If you can survive to the 2030s as a pure human being, you're going to be in a small minority of resistors.
A small minority of resistors, unless we start to turn this around, guys, unless we start to awaken more of our compadres, right? Otherwise, we will be slowly but systematically turned into transhumans, and that is their goal. Now, this is from Ricardo Bossi from Australia. And like I said, they are starting to see this really start to squeeze them in Australia. Now, when the COVID lockdowns and so forth started happening, I watched Australia. I've been to Australia. I've worked with the Australian SAS, Special Air Squadron. Great guys. They're very much like us, Navy SEALs and so forth. And got along with them. One of the best groups I've ever worked with, working all around the world. But I saw that, they were being extremely manipulated. They had their guns taken away in a very suspect shooting. and Australians agreed to it. Same thing happened up in Canada. Now, a lot of Australians have contacted me and told me that don't think that, you know, we don't have guns. And I was like, we're good for you, but keep that low key. All right. But the same thing up in Canada. But you see both countries are getting squeezed massively. All right. More and more and more. And it's not looking so good. So there's the transhumanism that they're slowly starting to move us into.
In the United States, the Supreme Court has ruled that vaccinated people worldwide are products. They are now patented goods. According to US law, which can be verified, people who have been vaccinated no longer qualify as humans, and therefore they can no longer be categorized as human beings. In essence, this means that those vaccinated are no longer subject to national or international law. Since 2013, all people vaccinated with genetically modified mRNAs are legally transhuman and legally identified as transhuman. Then they no longer enjoy any human or other rights of a state.
All right, so that's their description of us. Of course, we have other ideas about that, but we have to get active about that. All right, so they're going to continually start to squeeze us out as human beings. This is a very methodical process that they have really been doing for hundreds of years, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's look at a little bit more now. Jeffrey Epstein was very much more about trafficking young girls and providing them for the elite, much more. He had a lot of buddies out there, a lot of people from Harvard. He had direct access to Harvard. Now, you know that President Trump has been coming down very hard on Harvard, taking away funding sources. Pete Hegseth is even, called out Harvard. The Secretary of War has called out Harvard. So something's up. Now, this one video that I've been watching gives a lot of insight into what's going on there. So they're basically doing cloning at Harvard. And Jeffrey Epstein was very much involved in that. I've talked about how Jeffrey Epstein was the money, he moved the money. Now, of course, the money was supplied to him to move the money around, but he was very much involved in eugenics and baby farms. All right. So there's been a lot of baby farms out there. You guys might remember down in Brazil, the John of God, he had a baby farm down there. Everybody thought the John of God was like this mystic, with all these unbelievable powers. But on the side, he was running a baby farm, and they found that out. And, so he went away, went to prison. But, who supported him? Oprah Winfrey, all right, was a big proponent of John of God. And of course, we now know that Oprah is all into the baby trafficking stuff and child trafficking and teenagers and so forth. She's got her own little trafficking school, or a couple of them in Africa that's been exposed. So it is among the elite guys. It is one of those things, Hugh Hefner, bringing babies back from Vietnam on the Playboy, jet. So they flew out there with the Playboy bunnies, taking care of the infants and child trafficking them back to the United States. Who knows what happened to those babies? So it has been an ongoing thing for a long time, even going back hundreds of years, where they had trains of children being moved across, Europe and America, and being literally given to people and sold to people. There's all kinds of information about that. It's really starting to come out now because we're starting to put all these pieces together. What was that? It's like children are being like, what happened to their parents? Now we're starting to know they're baby farming for a long time, guys.
She knew she was being used for reproduction, and she said it directly. But that's actually just the surface. This is about to blow your mind. So I'm sure you've been seeing the incubator stuff in the news recently. It's been covered, but they're not really explaining it. This is what they didn't tell you. This victim didn't write that letter in English. She wrote it in rail fence cipher. A rail?
All right. So, me being in the SEAL teams, I was one of very small percentage of guys that they sent to one of these schools where I learned how to code. All right. So I could write a letter and there was all kind of code in it. Of course, I'm not going to expose or talk about any of that technique. But here we have a teenager that's being trafficked and she's being taught how to write in code. All right. Sounds like Kathy O'Brien type stuff, doesn't it? Yeah, because it exists and it's still existing, I promise you, and it's still being utilized. So they traumatize these young girls, children, young women, and so forth, and it shatters their brain. They compartmentalize. So within these compartments, they can start to insert information to pass to other people. So, for instance, Kathy O'Brien talked about how she would go to, you name the president that she was going to at the time, and she would pass information, and then they would have sex with her. And sometimes it was nice sex, sometimes it was not so nice. All right. So some of these guys are very sadistic, very, narcissistic and crazy. They're crazy. So she talked about that. And I asked her in the last show I did with her about this compartmentalization. And she confirmed that, yes, they shattered her as a child so that they could use parts of her brain for this compartmentalization so they could pass information. So they would, have information in one of her compartments. So they knew all about how to, because they were brilliant. Kathy O'Brien is absolutely amazingly brilliant. She's great that she survived and has been able to pass this information on to us. She's like Stanley Kubrick on steroids that survived, right? So lots of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but we've had some people that have been able to disclose and bring this information to us. We're very fortunate. All right. So here we have this teenager that's been trafficked, been sexually abused, and she has been taught how to write cipher.
Cipher is a transposition code. You split your message across 2 rows, alternating letters. Top, bottom, top, bottom. To read it, you weave the rows back together. The actual page in the EFTA is not the journal. It's rows of letters that look like occult nonsense. But what I just read you, I'm not your personal incubator, where is the baby, where is Jelaine? That's what you get once you decode it. It would seem that the DOJ apparently had cryptanalysts decode it, and then they added this plain text translation to the file.
So all these files that they're releasing, do you think they were just passing, information across Gmail? Oh, you got a Gmail account. Here's my Gmail account. I'll send you this information. No, I promise you, this was over some type of encrypted landscape, right? That they thought was secure. But we've seen through the Q post that they've said that we have everything, right? So the Epstein files, I believe, were, TS and above to them. And it was compartmentalized and it was sent over to their secure organization, over their secure wires and so forth, but it was being, taken. So that's what we're seeing. So they're starting to release this. So this is another example of how they were training these young girls in, cipher. And we haven't seen all the information from them, I promise you, because we've seen we haven't seen it, but I promise you there's been a lot of them that have died over the years that just thought about or maybe mentioned that they would come forward with information and they were taken out.
Don't clarify at all that it was a cipher. They just published the decoded letter like she wrote it normally. And they left out that the cipher ends with death. See, you're missing the context. The real question is, why does a trafficking victim know how to write in cipher? Why would she need to? A railfin cipher isn't something you just pick up. Someone most likely taught her this. That's a red flag. A victim writing in code implies training and operation.
So that's the second gate. That's the CIA level stuff, right? Or MI6 or Mossad, or you name, KGB, whatever group was, using these girls, women, to move this information. So they had trained them to pick up information, just like they did for some of the women I've had on my show that have talked about this. They have talked about how they would gather information. They were experts at, they had photographic memories, and they could read someone. So when they said something, they'd say, okay, say this to them and see how they react. So they would say something that would be, they had no idea what it was. It was some kind of coded information. And the person that they were with for that moment would respond. They would frown, or they would light up, or, they would have a poker face if they were well trained, but most of them weren't, right? So there would be that little spot of information that would happen within their countenance or within their face. And I'm trained in this as well. The way the eyes look, the way, you can watch the breathing and tenseness and so forth. You can tell, what's going on with someone. So they could read that, and they would report back to their handler, what it was, to their CIA handler, as in the case of Kathy O'Brien, or in the case of, some of these other women, to Jeffrey Epstein. So Jeffrey Epstein was compiling this information and then sending it to someone. And that's just some of the stuff that we're seeing in the files, right?
It's like ritual abuse more than anything else. All the ciphers were decoded. One of them mentions the blood from supposedly Leon Black. We've mentioned him several times. The other cipher is her guilt. She feels like a monster. She remembers the screams. But I was looking through the PDF and I found this page.
So Ghislaine Maxwell evidently was there for some of these operations where they're doing the cloning. And I guess it's very painful. Whatever they're doing, however they're inserting, into their ovum, their eggs or whatever, it was painful for them. And they would be told to close their eyes tight, and close your eyes tight, close your eyes tight, close your eyes tight. And they remember that. And they talk about that in the descriptions here. So, horrific stuff. And the cloning, I've been bringing this up for years and years and years about cloning. All right. And now we're getting more and more information. Jeffrey Epstein and his group, Harvard, and you name it, probably other places were involved. Stanford, I bet, were involved in cloning, guys. They're cloning. So this is part of their operation to basically replace us. So the waves of illegal immigration that come to America and Europe and so forth, that's all distraction. And that's all to tear down our civilization so that we're more manageable. And there's only going to be a few of us left, like they plan, if everything goes as planned. But that's why we have to break up their organizations and really come down on them. Now, here's another part that I wanted, that I thought would be very valuable. Here they are. They're talking about Nowak and George Church. These are all Harvard guys that would meet at Harvard with Epstein and plan some of the stuff out. All right, so let me get to this one spot. It is, I'll know it when I see it. Why Silicon Valley? Because they got all the money, they got all the control. AI baby forms. Here we go. Lord of the Rings. Of course, I remember that, right?
Using genetic data on the front end. It's a surveillance infrastructure that tracks populations on the back end. What am I saying? it would seem that these sickos are trying to design an engineered human race that's powered and monitored by AI. Design them, produce them, monitor them, control them, all in AI. That's why I called this video AI Baby Farms. It's not just baby farms. If you follow the documents to their logical conclusion, what you're looking at isn't just a trafficking operation. It's the blueprint for an AI-monitored, engineered population. Allegedly. And remember what I told you at the beginning of the video. Epstein told scientists he wanted to see the human race with his DNA. He wanted to impregnate 20 women at a time at his ranch in New Mexico. Everyone reported that like it was just fantasy, like it was some delusion of a narcissist. But look at what I just showed you. The shell companies, the fertility doctors, the egg harvesting, the CRISPR research, the AI funding. It seems like he was describing this operation. That is the full picture as I understand it, but that's just from 44,000 documents. Every EFTA number has been on your screen.
All right, so
doesn't end
here. He's going to talk about the past,
so you can
and how, like I said, it's been going on for a very, very long time. All right, it's going to shock some of you. I can see that the numbers are pretty much staying. You know, you guys are pretty much watching. We're starting to get a little bit more of an audience. This is definitely outside of most people's scope, but it is. This is where the real McCoy is, guys. This is where we need to focus. This is where we need to get to the citadel, all right, and take them down as fast as we can before they get down into the underground tunnels, which a lot of them have been destroyed. But I'm sure there's still a lot of them going on, probably building them, you know, as we speak, more tunnels. So we don't want them to get on those maglev trains and take off, you know, into other parts. So they're hard to find, but this is going to happen. So the more that we expose these people and the faster we take them down, and we got to start the arrests soon. They have to start. And I think one of the things is once President Trump solidifies that we're going to do a fair election, and they're going to start to roll out that and start to move the military in positions. And of course, the crazies that are in these big cities that have been consciously compromised are going to riot like they're already doing to resist, because they know that once we do this, we're at the citadel. We're breaking down the walls of the citadel, and we're trying to get in there before they escape in those maglev trains. All right.
By everything I've shown you. Now, the story doesn't end here. The documents speak for themselves, but if you want to understand why I called this video what I called it, stay here for 5 more minutes, because none of this is new. This has been happening for almost 300 years. In 1739, the Foundling Hospital opened in London, and it was funded by royalty, supported by aristocrats. And if you look at the coat of arms, there's the Diana of Ephesus, the multi-breasted ancient fertility goddess. But if you look closely, those aren't breasts, they're eggs. Right there on the official seal of a children's hospital. Why do you have occult symbolism on something that's supposed to be a charity? And what about in America? Well, there's a fraternal order that many have never heard of. They're called the Odd Fellows. Similar to Freemasons, but with a completely different purpose. Funded by royalty, their symbols include the all-seeing eye, the fasces, skull and bones, and they were the ones that ran the orphanages in America in the 19th century. They ran the asylums. Their founder, Thomas Wildey, was himself an orphan. Orphans grooming the next generation of orphans. And they did all of this under the name of philanthropy.
All right, so you know, I have family members that were Masons and Shriners. I never was attracted to it, but you know, I was around them. I went to all the parades and, you know, saw their parties and so forth. There were some different cats, right? So not knocking, a lot of good people. I've had a lot of friends have gone into the Masonic orders. They're good people, but there are obviously some problems there. Because I remember they were going to orphanages and they were going to children's hospitals. All right. So, all the stuff that we're seeing right here, all the stuff that now you can be part of this stuff. Like when I first came into the military and the CIA, I thought I was doing the good thing. And then I saw a little darker side. All right. And that's something that goes on. So you can come in like most of us. You're doing good things. You have no idea about this. I've talked to women that were in, had been Playboy bunnies and centerfold and everything. They thought Hugh Hefner was a great guy. Right. So all of that's been exposed by now. And anyone that still believes that, they just decide what they're going to believe. So I think there's still a lot of people like that. You're going to continue to see people resist this information, even the people that are in those groups. I resisted for a long time, but over time, being observant, as you do, and you start to pick up, start to build your intuition, you're going to see this stuff, guys. Observational skills are very important going forward, and so is intuition.
If you follow the channel, you already know what I'm about to show you. But for those who don't, there are thousands of postcards from the 1890s to the 1910s that nobody talks about. They show babies being grown in cabbage patches, babies being harvested from gardens, babies arriving on trains, babies being pulled from water with hooks and nets, and some that literally say in French, "Nous sommes à vendre," we are for sale. These aren't art projects, these aren't cute jokes. There are thousands of these across Europe and America, and they depict a production line, a repopulation operation. The woman in the red is their handler. The men in the top hats pay for them. Familiar, right? This is the real history behind the Cabbage Patch Kids, and it's even in their lore. A story about babies being grown in a garden, delivered by a stork in uniform, while an evil witch tries to enslave them for labor. Nobody really ever questioned where that story came from. In 1881, a French doctor attached to a foundling hospital built the first baby incubator. He modeled it on a chicken hatchery. Within a decade, baby incubators filled with live premature infants were exhibited at world's fairs across Europe and America. The medical journal that covered it wrote, quote, "It is just as essential in raising men and women as it is raising any kind of stock," end quote.
All right. So you can see this is I've been talking about for a long time, Tartaria and so forth. This has been an ongoing thing that destroyed Tartaria because it was part of our advanced civilization and culture, and they destroyed it. They, who is they? There's a lot of people that talk about this over the years, reptilian, Anunnaki, so forth. There's definitely negative alien forces that are out there. Talk about the aliens, and you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble like I did. All right. So you have to start to open your mind to this, and you have to understand that some of the information that they've been feeding us is a little bit of truth and a lot of disinformation. All right. I am not that deeply into it. I probably wouldn't be able to talk to you. I probably wouldn't be alive if I was talking like I'm talking. They've tried to take me down, but if I was more knowledgeable on the ET realm, and I talked about it, of course, Gaia, there's guys that have been over there that have talked about this. I've been on those shows, and there is a lot of disclosure going on, but there's not a lot of people that are listening to it. And when we've had these ET groups that get together, for a while, they were getting very, very large, and then they started to infiltrate those and harass and threaten some of the people that were revealing in there. So, and then some of those people, a lot of those people, unfortunately, over the years, a lot of people that have come out and have Carrie Cassidy's talked to like tons of these people. I need to ask her the question. It's, Carrie, how many people that you've talked to over the years are now gone, and how many? There's a lot, right? I know there's a lot. I would like to hear from her, how many. It probably is staggering. So it is, something that they want to keep under wraps, just like the giants. just like the ET races, just like the Tartaria, advanced, races and civilizations and so forth that they destroyed with nuclear weapons. And then if the nuke didn't, destroy everything enough, they came in and used the earthquake machine on it and created liquefaction of the soil. So we had buildings that would sink. If that wasn't good enough, then they'd use the directed energy weapon on them and burn the cities. So this is something that had been doing for a while. All right. So we can see the evidence of that, throughout America, throughout Europe. We have lots of these cities that at one time were far more advanced than what we have now, more advanced than we have now. And they're sunken. And whenever someone, starts to unearth them or discover them, they come in and shut it down very quickly. Same thing with giants and on and on and on. So the Nephilim. All right. So this is what happens when we start to advance in our civilizations as they are now, with the population pretty much through the educational system that can regurgitate what they're taught, but they can't think. All right. They can't think. So they can do advanced, physics and, information and so forth as it's taught to them, but give them, okay, so take this and make it work somewhere. And a lot of these people that have been through and they're degree after degree don't know how to explain hardly anything correctly. Right. They haven't, gotten to the point where they can, think creatively. Look at most doctors. Most doctors these days, have been through extremely advanced, training, technical and so forth. But, COVID came around and almost all of them dumbed down. They couldn't see that this was a big psyop. And then they fell for, the vaccination program, and they pushed it and they still push it. And they won't admit that they were wrong about that. And even though there were millions of people are dying from the vaccination now, they won't admit it. They won't admit it. They're dumbed down, guys. So I've had many of my friends that had kids that were very highly intelligent and critical thinkers. And they also were they were survivalists and, could go out in the wilderness and they could thrive, not survive. And they were going to become doctors. And then they started to see what was involved. And they're like, that's dumb. I'm not going to dumb myself down in that organization. And they bowed out. So I've seen a lot of that over the years. We're going to have a problem with the doctors that we have now. We're not going to have as many, but that might be a good thing because we need to have doctors that are, trained correctly, not with this educational system that dumbs people down and they just regurgitate information and just do as they're told and so forth. They don't question. So these are some of the things that we're moving forward towards, I believe, and there's going to be massive resistance from the elite guys. They're going to try and kill us off. They've already attempted that, but as things go forward, they're going to do more and more to kill us off. So we're going to have to be very intuitive. We're going to be very observant. And as, crazy stuff starts happening like these, I've been warning you guys that we're getting ready to have massive earth change events. Some of these are going to be implemented by these people. Some of them, I think, are being stopped out, but they have a lot of technology that's way advanced. All right, so let's listen to this. You're going to need to really pay attention because this guy is going to blurt out a lot of information fast.
Lock in to understand this. This video will require you to lock in. Civilization was designed to replace humanity. And I'm not talking about politics, ideology, technology, greed, human failure, whatever you want, belief, human invention. I'm naming the pattern beneath it all because there is a pattern, a stable pattern in abstract space that is far older than humanity, older than culture, and older than gods. It does not live in organisms. Organisms fall into alignment with it. Wherever extraction can outrun regeneration and consequence can be delayed and abstraction can replace contact, the pattern will will appear. And it's worn many bodies and it's wearing us now because the pattern has a historical body. And that body is called civilization. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Civilization is not a neutral tool. It is not a container. It is not a servant. Civilization is a replacement engine. It is designed to replace humanity with function.
Civilization is a replacement engine designed to replace humanity. All right. So all of these evil efforts that are out there that are trying to convince us, oh, we're keeping things civil, we're keeping things normalized. We have doctors, we have hospitals, we have politicians that are serving you, bullshit, and on and on and on. Educational systems that are teaching your children, bullshit. So this is the function of a civilization as it is today.
Civilization was not created to serve humanity. Most of humanity was created to serve it. And you can see the pattern in the locust. A grasshopper is a local green limited participatory animal. It eats, the land recovers. But when density crosses a threshold, something shifts. Serotonin rises, contact accumulates, a switch flips. The grasshopper does not decide, it aligns. Its body darkens, its appetite becomes endless, limits dissolve. The land becomes stripped bare, and then the swarm dissolves. Not from evil, but from completion. And you can see it in ants.
So we're moving towards completion, right? So not a good thing. Now, this doesn't mean that, like the grasshopper that come in, like, locusts that just like eat everything and then they die off. It's basically, we have stupefied people that are doing stupefied things that are going to cause us to die off. If we all work together and we were creative and people of merit rose to the top and people that were just not ready for that, they could like be like the Buddhas and the Taoists and so forth, and be very, very creative and meditative. That's cool. I like that. So if we could move in that direction, that'd be great. But we're not. We're moving into Stupidville everywhere.
And in algal blooms and in bacteria that poison their own world with oxygen. Life itself has entered this pattern before. This is not a moral failure. This is a structural possibility of reality. So humans did not invent this pattern. We became its most powerful host. We had abstraction, symbolic storage, future modeling, surplus energy, and distance from consequence. These were not sins, they were interfaces. And when agriculture crossed density thresholds, the pattern found a new mode, civilization. So at first, I'm gonna show you how this even looks. I'm gonna give you an example. At first, the world looks whole. The man is in the forest. The axe is movement. The tree falls and the forest remembers. And then a thought appears. This tree is not me. The tree becomes lumber. This is subject-object split, right? I'm just trying to put you on.
See, this is the disconnect time. All right. And the disconnect is we're no longer one. We're no longer one with the forest. Now, when I go into the forest, I become one with the forest. All right. That's how I can move into thrive mode and not survival mode. All right. So this is something that is not taught. You have to understand it on a deeper level. There is communication with plants. All right. So we have beautiful plants in our house, and we've always had beautiful plants in our house. Our communication, our connection with our plants and our pets and with our children and so forth is very high. But it is only limited by, the connection. So if the connection starts to fail, like he's talking about right now, then you become separate and you bring the axe and you cut down the tree, turn it into lumber, build your house. Instead of living, I don't know, in the earth or whatever, right? So it is getting to that point where we're destroying all the resources that are available to us, and we're not replacing them.
The forest stops being a relationship and becomes a resource field. Nothing breaks immediately, and that's why it works. And then once the split exists, it seeks completion. The river becomes water. The animal becomes meat. The land becomes property, and another human becomes labor. And guess what finally happens to the self? The self becomes useful, right? The split turns inward, right? So here's the pipeline, how it shows up in your life. You are born human, but you're converted into function. It always starts in stage one. You start with an identity and they turn it into a role. Someone asks you, who are you? But the answer is no longer I am. It becomes a job title, a school, a status.
Remember, you are one with the Creator. I am. That's what all the masters have taught throughout time. But the Luciferians basically are breaking that connection for us, right? And that's what we're starting to see more and more of. So the breakaway, we're in a breakaway. So we have some that are breaking away, some that are still connected, some that are moving back towards connection. How many will survive going forward remains to be seen.
Being becomes utility. Then stage 2, the role becomes a performance. You must execute correctly. Metrics measure adequacy. Your existence becomes conditional. And then stage 3 comes in right on time. Performance becomes permission. Good performance grants resources. Poor performance withdraws them. Survival becomes earned. And then stage 4 hits like a truck. Permission becomes morality. Work becomes good. Rest becomes lazy. Productivity becomes virtue. Idleness becomes sin. And that morality reaches identity. I am what I produce. The conversion is complete. Human instrumentality achieved. No external oppressor required. You now self-enforce your own instrumentalization. You are your own warden, and you can't even think outside of it. I want you to understand you cannot think outside of civilization, because civilization installed the thinking apparatus. Your categories were not discovered.
So it's the same thing in education. It's the same thing in our civilization. If you get outside the box, if you ask the questions that are not part of the course, then you're basically, shut down. You don't get the good score. You don't move up. And if you're one of those people that comes up with, resources or ideas that will basically break out of a pattern that everybody's in that is not useful, but they want us to stay in that useful pattern that they can control, and you come up with a solution, you will be shut down. We all have seen this. I've seen this in everything I've ever done. All right. All of us that are producers, that have great merit, that have great ideas, we're shut down constantly.
Race was not discovered. Race was assigned. Class was assigned. Wealth was assigned. Gender roles were assigned. Status was assigned. Merit was assigned. Success and failure were made the fuck up. I'm trying to put you on. All civilizational extractions, all of them. Even your own name was designed deciding. You're right. Your naming conventions were standardized by Romans 2 full civilizational cycles before you existed. Your calendar, your week, your hours, your inheritance structures, your educational model, your legal personhood, all of them are preloaded. All of them. You do not stand in civilization. Civilization stands in you. And that's why escape fantasies fail, because you cannot leave the water using the concepts water taught you. And this is the mistake people thinking. Gods can fix this. God can fix this. No God has ever addressed this situation, because they think gods stand outside the pattern, like gods oppose the pattern, like gods interrupted. They don't. Every god that has appeared inside history has either emerged already aligned to the pattern or been absorbed, inverted, or repurposed. Let's go through them. Yahweh is a civilizational God from the start. Yahweh was never a threat to civilization. Yahweh is a God of law, land, borders, lineage, obedience, continuity, and inheritance. A God of accounting, a God of command, a God compatible with empire. And that's why Yahweh was not crucified, because Yahweh already belongs to the pattern. Let's talk about the real God going on here. Abba. Right, that's the interruption that had to die, because Abba was not Yahweh. Jesus never said the word Yahweh. Abba was presence without a ledger, forgiveness without a transaction, worth without productivity, life without a hierarchy, and love without a boundary, and rest with no permission. Abba dissolved every role. Abba collapsed moral accounting. Abba returned people to participation, and that cannot be absorbed. So it was executed. They did not crucify God. They crucified the interruption. That's all they did. They didn't kill God. They killed the Father. And then civilization performed its most elegant move ever. It absorbed the corpse and then built a church around it. Let's go to Buddha. Let's go to Buddha right quick, right? Dissolution. That's all it was. Dissolution got contained because Buddha names the trap: desire, attachment, identity. So civilization doesn't fight Buddha, it domesticates him. Meditation becomes optimization. Mindfulness becomes stress control. Liberation becomes private wellness. And awakening was neutralized. Let's go to Allah, because Allah appears transcendent, but structurally, Allah is an absolute authority requiring total submission and eternal law and continuity without interruption. A God perfectly compatible with civilizational order. Absorption was seamless. It was seamlessly absorbed into civilization. We can even have fun with it. Let's talk about
So now you see why they are pushing the Muslim Allah, right? So the Allah is extreme control, and that's what they want. And Allah fits that perfectly.
Because Zeus was never outside the pattern. None of them were. The Olympus mountain was an empire mythologicized. Hierarchy, domination, violence normalized. Zeus did not fall. He became unnecessary. The state absorbed his function. So every god that is ever born made a choice. Remain illegible or become useful. That is the choice of every god. If a god remains illegible, it is destroyed. If it becomes useful, it is absorbed. There is no third option. So I'm just being honest with you. Civilization does not deny God. No, it doesn't. It replaces God. It becomes the source of law, the arbiter of worth, the distributor of survival, and the judge of morality. And like all gods before it, it demands sacrifice. Human sacrifice, but just not on altars. So I'm going to show you what civilization does. It replaces humanity. Sure does. It replaces participation with abstraction, presence with performance, care with compliance, and relationship with roles. It turns humans into instruments of throughput. Burnout is not a malfunction. It's not a malfunction. It's the completion signal. It means the instrument has been fully consumed. So I'm going to be flat with you. No system in existence can save you. Communism is going to curdle. Anarchism will crystallize. Western civilization, Eastern civilization, capitalism, whatever you want, free market, constrained market, whatever you want. Every system will repeat the same betrayal because systems are water and abstract space has a hill. And whenever a system is poured, it flows downhill. And that basin has a name. It is the hyper throughput attractor. Every system that is ever born must choose. Preserve the human, preserve humanity, or preserve continuity. It will always choose preserve continuity, not because it's evil, but because continuity is required for the system to exist at all. Humanity is not. So it's not corruption. I'm just talking to you about physics. So this is the most dangerous part about it. The pattern is extremely easy to instantiate. The hyper throughput attractor does not require malice. It doesn't require greed or even intelligence. It doesn't require anybody to be bad. It requires just these conditions. So the pattern instantiates wherever consequence is delayed, virtue is abstracted, extraction is rewarded, regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. That's it. That's all. No ideology is necessary. No conspiracy is required. No central control is needed. You can build it accidentally. You can build it while trying to prevent it. You can build it while believing you're righteous. So let me give you the conditions again. Consequences delayed. Value is abstracted. Extraction is rewarded. Regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. So a village that stores surplus without immediate redistribution, vulnerable. A tool that increases efficiency faster than accountability, vulnerable. A system that remembers outputs but forgets the cost, vulnerable. A structure that survives its makers, vulnerable. That is enough. Once instantiated, the pattern does not need enforcement. It reorganizes behavior automatically because people align, because alignment is rewarded, and deviation feels unsafe, and resistance appears irrational. So the pattern does not coerce anybody, it selects. That's why every system eventually betrays humanity. That's why reform accelerates collapse, and that's why optimization sharpens the blade, because the hyper throughput attractor is not rare, it is easy. It's easy. And this is why it appeared again and again across life, across history, and matter itself. And that's why it's so lethal. So I'm going to give you a formal definition. The hyperpredatory throughput attractor is a non-biological, substrate agnostic, emergent pattern in abstract space that arises when extraction outpaces regeneration under delayed feedback, reorganizing agents through.
Now, I know this guy is amazing with his verbology. All right. So his terminology is outstanding. Just, one of his words, reaches across many domains. Very, very intellectual, dissertation that's going on here. It is something I've listened to. This is the second time I listened to it. I'll probably listen to it some more. Absolutely incredible. But regardless of if you're picking this up and you understand this, I see a lot of people have dropped off because I just wanted this to run. So I'm seeing here how many people are absorbing this and how many people are checking out. It's very, very simple when you look at it. Or listen to it. You're basically getting subscribed into these different systems and controlled in these different systems. That should never, ever happen. All right. So you are God experiencing himself or herself in this moment. So when you understand that, you're never compromised by any system, and your intuition, is the thing that you're guided by. And if you don't even understand intuition, then you've already checked out, right? Those of you that are at that level and above, you're flowing with this, you understand it, you're excited about it, and you know that there's other people that are probably going to see this and are going to be, get a wealth of information from this and start to move in the right direction. And then together, we're going to collapse these control systems.
Maximizing throughput at the cost of the conditions that sustain them until collapse terminates the configuration. So all that is left after this, just being flat with you, is humanity. Not humanity as a plan, not as a future, but as a contact. I'm talking about bodies, land, risk, and care. No installation and no delay. You cannot leave this system. You cannot outthink this system. You cannot outsystem this system. The only thing that can ever survive this system is I am. Not your role, not your function, not even your name. Just I am. That's the only thing the pattern can't.
Just I am. Fantastic. That's so beautiful. And, once you understand that I am, you are everything experiencing, in this moment, then you're going to start to, be much happier. So it is, for me, it's like fantastic. Yeah, you love that. Good. Some of you are getting it. You're loving it. If you didn't get it, listen to it again and again and again and again. All right. So back to reality. All right. So now we have to go back and look at, what's going on around us. We have to be observant so we don't get caught up in this system that takes us away from I am. All right. So Nick Shirley interviews illegal alien family on Skid Row. So a lot of these people have been drugged into this country to basically break us from our I am and break them and, cause chaos and problems and destroy the system that's been built up. So resources being like talked about, resources, if you have resources and you're not in control of them, you're basically going to lose them. And that's what we're seeing right now.
¿Ustedes son de Colombia?
Sí, somos colombianos.
So he's asking them if they're from Colombia. So this is a tent. He's in Los Angeles right now. So he's exposing Los Angeles. And he's asking them, are you from Colombia? They're saying yes.
¿Ya cuánto tiempo ustedes llevan aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Llevo 2 años.
So how long they've been here? They've been here 2 years. 2 years. So Biden brought them here. So they've been here for 2 years. It's a whole family living in a tent on a street like animals.
Cuando ustedes vinieron aquí a los Estados Unidos, ¿pensaba que iba a llegar aquí a
So I was asking him, when you came here, did you think you'd be living on the street?
a vivir aquí en esta calle?
No, pensábamos que iba a ser una vida diferente.
Never.
Vinimos a cambiar la vida.
We came here to change our lives, and now we're living like dogs, and they are. It's very unfortunate, but they're living like dogs. And how many are living like dogs on streets all over America, or living in houses, that are made for 4, 5, 6 people the most, and there's dozens of people in these homes all across America.
Pensaba que íbamos a cambiar nuestras vidas, no íbamos a estar así como perros, no es como estamos como perros, porque no somos animales, somos seres humanos. Pero mira.
Okay, so we aren't animals, we're humans, but look, we have kids here.
Tenemos los niños aquí, ¿ves? Una criaturita.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants that came here from Colombia, and there's little kids here, and they live inside this tent. I imagine they didn't expect their life to be like this when they crossed over the border. ¿Ustedes pensaban que cuando cruzaron por la frontera, eso iba a ser la vida?
No.
No. Y Dylan.
So these kids, some of the lucky ones, they stay with their parents, because we know there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kids that are not with their families, and who knows what has happened to all of them. But these children are with their parents. They, like their parents, thought they were coming to America, and they were happy. They thought everything's going. They probably were told they're going to have this, they're going to have that, and who knows? Maybe they had to, fork out some money to do this, because that's what happens to a lot of these people. Or NGOs were paid by us, the taxpayer, to fund this invasion of our country.
¿Te gusta vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos? No. Yeah, entonces ustedes pasaron por mucho para llegar aquí a los Estados Unidos,
claro.
Y ahora está viviendo en carpas aquí.
So, they moved through very dangerous places to come here to America, and now they're living in one of the most dangerous places in the world, the streets of LA. All right, so this is what we're seeing right now, and this is what these morons are demonstrating for. in these cities against ICE, right? So we're even seeing high school children that are leaving their classes and going out and demonstrating on the streets. And their parents are just so happy about that, right? And the school system is so happy about that. So it's broken. It's broken in some of these places, right? Like that one guy was talking about, these people are not connected to their I am anymore, right? They're not connected to God on the level, even elementary kids, really, wow. So in the chat, we have even elementary kids. Chat's moving pretty quick. Let me see if I catch that. Boom. Right. Even elementary kids, you can barely see that, but they want their organs. Yes, that's part of it. You're not be able to see that because of my shirt, I guess, because the white lettering on my my Valentine shirt that I'm wearing to dinner tonight is not allowing that to come through. Sorry about that, guys. But so I read some of these off. Saw those demonstrations yesterday here in California. So thanks to all you guys that are comment like that in the chats, in the live chat. You can still see the live chat. You can, and down in the comments, after the shows, it does make a huge difference. So why do I have an Ollie Van Z? Did a show with her on the ship a little to go and see if I change that. But there is some crazy things that are going on in America now, and we have to become aware of them. And we're going to be shamed, and we're going to be called Nazis because we're trying to, make things right. This is what these kids are being taught, that we're Nazis. So they're kids, and you just saw those kids living in a tent on the street, and they're protesting to allow those kids to still live on the street in poverty in a crime-infested area that's very dangerous. And who knows where their next meal is coming from, right? Who's supporting them? Probably Californian taxpayers, I'd imagine. But maybe there's some good social organizations, churches and so forth that might be helping them. I don't know. A lot of the churches now are corrupted as well. All right, ICE agent hit in head with rock as high school anti-ICE agitators and downtown LA clash. Multiple federal agents were injured, including one who was sent to a local hospital after high school students turned violent at an anti-ICE protest. So that's not a peaceful protest, obviously, and you're burning the American flag. What the hell? What kind of punk ass does that shit, right? So, and look at this moron. Honk if you hate Nazis. You're a Nazi. Hello. We have freedom ourselves. We don't agree with, illegal immigrants. What part of friggin' illegal don't you understand? We allow more legal entry into our country than any other country in the world by far, right? So does that need to, increase? President Trump was talking about maybe we need to increase that. But, at this point, we're upholding our own laws by, keeping illegal immigrants out the best that we can, and those that have over the last 4 years flooded our country, getting them back out. Many of them criminals, right? So vandals also damage property and block traffic. So again, it's like, I'm just going to work, in my car, and these high school punks are like, blocking the road. I'm going to be late. My boss doesn't understand. It's like, docks me. Well, I don't care. You figure it out. You get here. You're supposed to be here. I don't care. There was one time I was when I was in the SEAL teams, SEAL Team 6, and I was coming down the road to work, plenty of time, and I saw right in front of me a dump truck. They got hit. Unfortunately, I don't know what the guy was doing, maybe reaching in the back for something, and he swerved over into the lane with a dump truck, and a dump truck won, right? Kind of. Because it was an old, I think 1970s vehicle that was all steel, and that dump truck went into the ditch, and that vehicle got sandwiched all the way up to the legs, all the way up to the waist of the driver. Right. So I ran up. I got out of my car. I ran up. Everybody else was frozen. There were like No one could do anything. So of course, you know, I'm a man of action. So I jump out, I go to help the guy in the car. I could tell he was not going to make it. Right. He was bashed up. And like I said, the car was all the way up to his waist. Already knew from talking to, not military, but SWAT guys and law enforcement and firefighters and so forth, that if a car basically comes up and crushes someone at that level, it's almost, they're 99% not going to make it, right? Because it basically, once they pull them out of that, the blood just like would gush out. Now they have these body suits they can put on that can press the body so that the blood doesn't flow out the extremity. But back in the day, they didn't have that. So most people died. So I looked at him. I'm like, he's done. So I ran over to the dump truck guy, the driver, and he's like laying across the seat. There's like all this fuel is like flowing out of the dump truck. And I didn't know if it was gas or it was diesel. You know, I didn't know. And so the guy was like, oh, my back. And I said, hey, man, I was trying to help him. I was like, hey, man, you got to get out of here. If this thing catches on fire, you're not going to make it. And so he like jumped out of that. He almost ran over me trying to get out of that truck. But I had to fill out a police report. And, they got the guy out of the car. The jaws of life came out, got him out. They had a helicopter was coming in. It was right on the Navy air base that's right there. And so they had it marked off. They were going to have a life flight come in. And as I'm filling out the information, the police officer came up and said, you don't need to fill that out. They just did the jaws of life on him. He's gone. So I don't need that paperwork. So I was like, oh, wow. So I drove into work and everybody's pissed at me. It's like, you're late. It's like, and I told them a story. And then they're like, they wrote it in my evaluation that I saved a guy. So it was good. So that's one of the rare places I've been late in jobs in other places. They don't give a shit. So that's what these punks are doing. They're causing, mass problems for people. Who knows? Maybe someone is in a merge situation trying to get somewhere, and these punk asses are holding people up. So it is not good. Defund ICE, fund schools, not raids. All right, dumbasses. All right. Go downtown and talk to those Colombians that are living on the side of the road, and maybe that'll help change your dumbass minds. Honk if you hate Nazis. So who made that sign for these people? Who made those signs? Did they make those themselves, or did some Soros funded group do that for them? We live in we're in very tough times right now, guys. Right. So we have to eliminate and get rid of this. I think all those punk asses should go to prison. They should just round them up and put them right in prison. Punk asses, grown-ups, I don't care. Put them in prison for the day. Parents come and get them. And if they do it again, they stay longer and maybe go to reform school or some bullshit like that until they get the dumbness knocked out of them or something. I don't know. Go to reform school and get fights and get stupid knocked out of them by somebody that's tough guy or tough girl in the school, those reform schools. So it's got to happen. It's got to happen. We got to stop this bullshit, right? And if they get violent, like that one police officer was hit in the head, that person should spend some time in jail, regardless of their age, right? Anti-ICE rally, more than 100 New Rochelle high school students have all these knuckleheads all across the students across America walk out to protest ICE. So the educational system is shit. It's shit, guys. I would not have my kids in school right now. I would not, right? And for the first several years of their lives, my kids went to private school. And then I had somebody talk me into like send them to regular school, and they did pretty good actually. When I was in Maryland, Annapolis, the school system there was really good. So if you got a good school system, we had military there. It was pretty squared away at the time. I don't know what it is now. So Naval Academy. So we'll see going forward, what kind of effect this has on these big cities, like I've been talking about for years. These big cities are probably going to burn. They're probably going to get destroyed, right? When you see even the kids are doing extreme stupid, I don't have much hope for them. I don't have much hope for them, right? And you shouldn't either. And if we do what we can, we try and clue people up the best we can. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? We move on and we save those who we can. All right, so let me reach over here. I have to put the electricity to my computer, but I forgot to do it, and it's almost dead. Hello. There we go. Hopefully I'll be able to continue the show. All right, so Tom Holman says federal agents found thousands of missing children in Minnesota where they're all protesting, right? ICE here in this state, he says, have located 3,364 missing, unaccompanied alien children. Children the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. So this is what's going on. So not only do they have the extreme corruption, and they have those idiots that are demonstrating on a massive scale in Minnesota. For what? For what? So they can keep those children that have gone missing, continue to have them missing, right? So it's WTF? What is going on? This is insane. So more orphans, the stuff that these guys have been doing for a long time. Now, let's go into a little spiritual activity here. All right. We talked a little bit about that with the guy that was, like talking so fast. It's like, oh my God, that guy's mind is unbelievable. And I tried to put some in and talk a little bit, but I listened to that all the way through. I was like, it's pretty cool. But, spirituality, intuition, connection to God through the I am. What I am is I am that I am, so there's lots of different, I won't call them religions. I will call them teachings. All right. And even that's probably not a good word. This morning, I was still kind of sleeping, starting to come out of sleep. And I heard my wife call out to me, Tao, like that. And I kind of woke up and I saw her floating in a meditative state, over by the fireplace. It wasn't on, but she was over by the fireplace in our bedroom. And I was like, oh, wow. So Tao, huh? I'm going to have to look that up because I've studied Tao quite a bit. Tao, the way of the Tao. What is the Tao? So I looked it up so that I could talk about it. All right. So obviously, me being woken up in the morning with the Tao means it's all right. Somebody wants me to talk about it, I guess. All right. So Tao means literally the path or the way. It is universal principle that underlies everything from the creation of galaxies to the interaction of human beings. The workings of Tao are vast and often beyond human comprehensions. I don't like that. I think they're definitely, humans can comprehend it because Lao Tzu did. Right. So if he did it, I think I can too. All right. So anyone can. The Tao Te Ching, Tao Te Ching. It was the book that he wrote about it, the material. Now, a lot of these guys, Buddha, Jesus, Yeshua, Ben Joseph, however you want to term him, and Lao Tzu, they didn't want it written down, right? But somebody did because they got to write it down so they could share it, right? So this has been the thing that has been happening throughout time. And instead of the word, the spoken word, which is more powerful, it's written, and then that basically separates it, like that one gentleman that talks a mile a minute was describing to us. All right. So non-contention, it's noted that violence and conflict, no matter how minimal or lightly controlled, could not help but cause negative side effects. I think President Trump is very much into this, right? Because he does a really good job of this. Non-action, The foolish expend a great deal of energy and time trying to do everything and end up achieving nothing. On the other end of the spectrum, the truly wise, right, don't seem to do much at all and yet achieve whatever they want. This magic is possible, indeed inevitable, when one is in tune with the Tao, the I am principle, and acts without attachments. All right. So wisdom, I'm going to jump around a little bit here. Wisdom, logic has its place in human affairs, but it isn't everything. There is a limit to what, and this is not knowledge. All right. So a lot of people can regurgitate knowledge and pass tests and get degrees and be, cum sum laude or whatever. And I've got enough college courses. I have a degree, but I've never put them together. So I was like, I just want that knowledge. And I want the wisdom that it's going to bring me. So wisdom is a higher form of taking all the knowledge and elevating yourself to see things on a different level. So for me, it was more about the wisdom, but even wisdom, it has a limit. There is a limit to what we can understand through rationality and reasoning. To transcend that limit, we need to fully engage the intuition. Who's the intuitive warrior? Right. So this is the key to insights as opposed to knowledge, and the difference between living the Tao and reading about it. All right. Is Taoism a religion? Taoism certainly has a religious aspect. However, in this website, we concentrate on the philosophical aspect, and that's what I like. Right? I like the physical aspect of all things far more than the, right? So I've studied the Tao. Now I take the test, and right, am I a Taoist because I can, regurgitate this information, or do I embody a Taoist lifestyle, which is really what I want, right? And what I hope that everyone can achieve. But of course, on Valentine's Day, which we're in, are we going to reach the Tao? Right? We're going to have to be somewhat in that physical realm to, interact with our significant other. And that's what I like about February 14th. But do you know that this is after a martyr? Someone that was executed. Right. So we have a Valentine's Day on someone who's executed. So riddle me that. Right. So they say, because it happened very, very long ago, like 200 and what was it? Where did this guy live? Valentine. The Valentine dude. Here it is, history. Honored on February 14th. He was in Rome. The Valentine's honored on February 14th, or Valentine of Rome. So Valentine was a priest in Rome who was martyred in 269. That's a very, very long time ago. And so we really still have the right information on that, or has it been discombobulated over time? So he was buried on the Via Flaminia, so the road of Flaminia, and if that still exists, the relics. So they took his bones and his skull. Right, very, like, isn't that like what was that Shakespeare, where the guy was like to be or not to be, and he's holding the skull. What was that? What was that play? I can't think of it right now. I want to say Hannibal, but it's not. It wasn't Hannibal. It was something like that. But anyway, not Horatio. Somebody throw it in the chat. I know you guys could look it up, or some of you even have know what I'm talking about. But my mind wanders, so I can't look it up. So let me stay with this. Not talk about Shakespeare. We're talking about Valentine's Day. And so anyway, people did pilgrimage throughout the Middle Ages until the relics of Saint Valentine were transferred to the Church of Santa Prassede during the pontificate of Nicholas IV in 1288. So the flower-crowned skull of St. Valentine is exhibited in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedine. All right, so that sounds really romantic, doesn't it? Bones, skulls, and so forth, flowers on the skull. Yeah, let's make Valentine's Day very romantic and lovey. But supposedly, he was marrying Christian Roman soldiers that were basically, Christianity was outlawed at the time, and I guess some of the Christian Roman soldiers, he married them, and I guess the Emperor Aurelian didn't like that very much because it was outlawed, so he threw him in jail and then had him executed in 273. So that's supposedly when it happened. So 273, long time ago. Now, who basically gave us? Remember that day, 273, Emperor Aurelian. And then we have, remember, Emperor Constantine. So Constantine, if you've looked into his history, which I have, he basically was under the control of the emperor at the time. I don't think it was Aurelian. It was another one. And the reason why, because his dad was in England and he wanted to make sure the Roman legion remained loyal to him, that was in England under his dad. So he had the son. He had control of the son. So the son, got the emperor all drunk or whatever. He would get drunk, and so he's like, "Yeah, can I go out on a horseback ride? Whatever." And I guess the emperor's like, "Yeah, go ahead. You're cool." So he jumps on a horse, and he had it all planned out. He like gallops out, and he's like, before he gets sobers up and figures out what he's done. Let me run. And then when he got to, it was like the Pony Express. When he got to the next place, he hamstrung the horses so they couldn't run after him or chase him down. And then he kept going, kept doing that. Eventually made it all the way to England. And then eventually he came back with the legions. So the legions loved him. He was badass. And he came back with the legions and basically eventually kicked all the other legions' asses. And he saw in the sky, he saw this, sign from God. And then everybody's like, "Oh, you saw a sign? Okay, we'll back you up and we'll fight and fight. And that's what they did. So they basically, eventually he was an emperor. He became an Emperor Constantine the Great. And so let's look at Emperor Constantine the Great. So there's a statuary of him because supposedly on his deathbed, he converted to Christianity. All right. So that means that he wasn't always a Christian. He was a sun worshiper, and sun. So he's a sun worshiper. And supposedly when he died, because he'd done all these things for Christianity, he's like basically Constantine the Great decision to cease the persecution of Christians in the Roman Empire was a turning point for early Christianity. And the Council of Nicaea, he did a lot of cool stuff. And the Christian Emperor Edict of Milan conversion. So, he did a lot of stuff for Christianity. And of course, the Christians were good to him and fought for him and made Rome very, very strong and popular. Right. So that worked out pretty good. So again, was Christianity at that time, talking about the I am, the connection, or was it a way to control? I would say probably, if we look at it, from the perspective of that gentleman that had that vast language, that it was basically taking us away from our I am, right? So that's what we've seen, many times, throughout time, unfortunately, where we'll see these guys basically bring in a religion that is good for controlling people. kind of like Islam has been for a lot of Middle Easterners, right? Good for controlling them. And I think eventually what they want to do is control the world with Islam. That wouldn't be good. So Christianity still, talking about God still gives us a little bit of freedom. I think it's still, it's still one of the good religions. If you go deeper into it, there's deeper truths, of course. I think it has a lot of beautiful things in it. Now, if you look at Constantine, the statuary and so forth, as you see here, come on, catch up. So StreamYard is like slow these days. I don't know why. But here you have, statuary. This is in, I think, York, England, where they have a statue. That's where he was. That's where his first army was. And he took that army and basically conquered the world. And it's very good. Very cool. So looks a lot like Mike, right? So yeah, I've been told I was Constantine, right? So when I look at Constantine's life, lots of similarities. Now, some of you are like, this reincarnation thing. I'm not so much into that, right? It doesn't matter that you're not into that. What matters is that it does happen, right? And if you start to connect with that, then it helps you progress. So that is one of the things that Buddha talked about. So Buddha, a lot of people said that Buddha and Christ were one and the same, and I disagree. Buddha was his own thing, soul entity. Christ, of course, had many lifetimes, just like Buddha did. Now, Buddha remembered his past lives. I would say that probably Jesus, Yeshua, remembered his past lives too. That's what happens when your intuition reaches a higher level, and you start to remember your past lives, like I have, right? So I hope that you guys remember some of your past lives, or at least have some kind of hints and so forth. Buddha, previous lives, enlightenment, Dharma, previous lives, enlightenment. So many biographies of the Buddha. Did the Buddha have past lives? Of course he did. Did he ever? And they function as core teaching stories in the Buddhist scriptures. According to Buddhist teachings, all beings cycle endlessly from one rebirth to the next, escaping only through enlightenment. So you're going to continue to recycle until you hit that the enlightenment. Now, some people are like, I'm just here and then I'm gone and that's it, right? That's crazy to me, right? So not much thought put into that one. All right, the Buddha's actual past lives, I read about them. Now, I had a past life with Buddha as an Ananda, and his cousin, and I spent most of my life with Buddha. So I have many, many memories of him. He also had reached the state just like Jesus, where he could walk across water, and I remember that when he did that, and incredible things. He was tried to kill. Our family tried to kill him many times, just like they tried to kill Jesus, Yeshua, many times. He had to escape. He barely escaped with his life, and then eventually came back, and he's like, I'm going to go through this, resurrection ceremony. And that's what he did. And he showed that the body can die and come back, and you can bring it back, so that's what he taught. That's the real thing of the crucifixion. Most people don't get that. And that's why people like me are out there trying to help people remember. That's really what he was about. And I've had communication with Jesus quite a bit. Like I said, I've had lifetimes with him, and I get lots of information from him. So I see a lot of people are diving off in this conversation. That normally happens, unfortunately, with this particular conversation. And that's kind of the way it is, unfortunately, right? So many people aren't ready for this level of consciousness advancement, and just check out, right? So instead of observing, like I did for when I was a kid, I remember seeing the movie Pat, and I was like, I bet I had a past life too. He was my hero, So, and he said in the film, he had memories of his past lives, and I've had now I have many, many, many memories of the soul that is Patton, right? And we go back quite a bit. All right, still here, Jaco. Good job, Jojo, Starbuck. You're awesome, and lots of you guys have been with us for a long time, and I appreciate that. All right, yeah. So many of us are awakened to it. It's not something that you're gonna like bring up at dinner, often, unless you're surrounded by people that are advanced. I've had those conversations at dinner before with people, so they're fun, but it's not something that is normal, unfortunately. So yes, cross-dressers. We don't want cross-dressers because that's Luciferian. All right. All right. So on point. Let's give you guys a little bit more fun things like what we did on our vacation. We swam with the dolphins. I showed you guys some pictures. Here's a little bit of video. Dolphins are absolutely incredible beings. They're very advanced. As you can see, that head of that dolphin is much bigger, right? Much bigger than ours. And they hold a much bigger brain. I've studied the dolphins for a long time. I've been around the dolphins a long time, but I've never, actually been able to actually get up close and personal and actually touch a dolphin. So this is really fun.
Dolphin is here. She looks like she's in her 20s. Oh. Her name is Bot. She's 46 years old.
All right, so the dolphin gives you a kiss on the cheek.
Human year, so she's aging gracefully. All right then.
And the lip kiss.
Oh, whoa. Sir, don't get jealous.
All right, yeah, that is a boy dolphin. And seems to like my wife a lot.
Okay? And that's not saying you stealing all the kisses. One kiss will go up. Oh, yeah. Ma'am, he loves sushi just because he want to taste it.
All right, so the story, Tracy could tell it better, but Tracy's daughter, when she was in college, they took out one of her ovaries and went. And I guess I'm getting the call that I can't talk about that. So anyway. Wow, she's like pissed about that one. So I won't tell that one. So anyway, let's look at this video.
Take him out for a second. Yeah. All right, open up your arms nice and wide. Now tell me how much these dolphins can weigh up to. 1,000 pounds. Wow, you really calling Dick fat? 1,100.
All right, now you get the hug.
500 pounds. 500 pounds. And up to 9 feet in length. So it's kind of a good thing you are wearing these life jackets.
Oh, you did that in Mexico? That's cool.
You're a 500-pound animal hugging you and you have a no jacket? Not on my watch, because safety first, no paperwork. Come swim forward for me. Now we're going to get ready to shake it. All right, so then, stop the surface of the water. Say, come on, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
All right, get the dance with the dolphin.
Give her a twirl, Give her a twirl. There we go. Are you ready? Yeah, that's a lot to move up to, okay? Let's see what you got. Let's see you shake it.
All right, that doesn't look too good, but I'm a guy, and that's a guy dolphin, so I'm not gonna try and press it. So we're just kind of going through the motion there.
All right, then. Everybody's dance is here. You got the stiff competition. There you go. That's everything you need. All right, thank you so much. Party of three. Dick has a choice. If he wants to do it.
Then we threw the football. Then you got the football.
It's not that easy to throw in the water, okay? Softball extraordinaire
All right, that's when you get on a float and the dolphin pushes you. Wow, so fun. You go fast. All right, so a little bit of dolphin time. It's a lot of fun. I think everybody should have dolphin time. Definitely an advanced being. that everyone can have a great experience with. So I advise you to at some point get with the dolphins. There's, I guess, a lot of them around the world where you can actually swim with a dolphin. I swam with the dolphins in Hawaii, but it's like a boat, and you swim. The boat driver gets you close to the dolphins, and you get in and swim. They kind of cruise around, but never to the point where I got to touch the dolphin. So very, very unbelievable, very cool experience. All right, guys. Lots of love on Valentine's Day, right? And stay in that love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time.